Hey folks, welcome to Kaisers Kastle. I have issues that I want to bring up. Those issues are very easy to talk about to me. And it's on mission creep, okay, the politicizing of law enforcement. Now, any of you who've known me for any amount of time realize I was law enforcement, both in the Army and the Marine Corps, in war and in peace and in the Cold War. Okay? So I'm coming at you with a reality that a lot of people don't get, especially millennials. You never saw a wall. You never saw a wall in Germany. I did. You never knew about, like, stuff I saw with Classic Wizard, which was on Adak, Alaska. It was a top secret thing back then. Now it's been outed, so it's no longer top secret, so I can talk all day about it. It's stupid. It was the forerunner to HARP. These things are real. What you fail to realize is that as a Gen Xer, I'm kind of a bridge, and I see reality as the way it is. Now, when I talk to you about mission creep, I have to be very clear, and I want to be clear to you. You have to remember, as a military person, both Army and Marine, I always had my little ID card that gave my little number of whatever rank I was at the time, in case I was an EPW, an enemy prisoner of war, being held. It was not until, even as a Fed, I would have been considered, you know, a protected person, right? A protected belligerent, because everybody in warfare is a belligerent. They're either protected or they're not. Now, if you're not a protected belligerent in warfare, then you are an unprivileged. That means they can shoot you on sight. That's the laws of land warfare, folks. Now, what would make somebody like me go in and do this and be an unprivileged belligerent, right? You wonder that, right? Well, I'll tell you what it is. Two things. And it's something I talk to my guys, I talk to my gals, whoever I'm talking with, I tell them, do not do this unless you're willing to do certain things. Unprivileged means they can shoot you on sight. That's the ultimate that you're going to get. But there's also freedom in that. And that freedom needs to be discussed. And I'm going to discuss it. I am also going to discuss how policing has become in this modern day and age. But it all will blend together. You'll see, you know, I'm old Uncle Shuffy. I will blend it together and it will make sense. Now, you have non-belligerents. Those are just people that you turn in, and in turn, as a military policeman, that's one of our jobs. We have to deal with the EPWs, enemy prisoners of war, and they would have to deal with us. So what you'll find, and it's pretty fun when you actually think about it, when you are an unprivileged belligerent, that spices the game up. Look, I've spent since 17, I have Forrest Gumped my ass around many people, even people that I no longer have respect for, yet I protected. People, God forbid, I even had to go and make a point to protect somebody. Why they were making much fuckery afoot. And I'll tell you who it was. It was Mike Siner last year in Charlottesville. But if I didn't do that for that person who I believed in, I didn't demand a cost for my services. It's the only gratis job I've ever done and didn't demand money. And it was because I wanted to see what was going to happen. I did forget and I failed. Remember, I talk about extreme ownership. I believe it and I own it. The one thing I failed at thinking about was who the governor was. And here's why I'm going to tell you this. This is going back to the policing. State police, even if it's a local thing like it was there in Charlottesville, state police have an obligation as well as the National Guard. And I was also National Guard in my state. When I was a Fed, I have the same thing. In the Guard, we had the wooden sticks for riots, gas masks, all that shit. When I was a Fed, I still have my collapsible Monadnock riot baton. Those that know me know I have that. All I took was an umbrella. And that was because I knew, looking at past incidents, always produce future results. So you have to know what you're looking at. And from what I'd seen in the past, I knew that OC spray, maybe some of the morons would be throwing the little balloons they threw at everybody. Even frozen water bottles. And so an unbreakable umbrella, that's the way to do it. But I wanted to see what went on. Here's my failure. My failure was, I forgot, Terry McAuliffe, the punk. Remember, that's what Rush Limbaugh used to call him, and he is. He's a punk. Punk bitch. And I'll say it every day, all day. Mike Siner is also a little punk bitch. Notice I don't call him Signer because he corrected me. Now he uses Signer. He's still a punk bitch. What I saw from them is not just as an observer protecting somebody. I saw the state and the local police. Remember, the local police chief had to resign because he was knee-deep in it, being told to stand down. Where have we seen this before? Oh, I think it was in Florida. Now, the only thing different, and I did see the sheriff's office of that area making an arrest, doing their job. Now, getting back to McMission creep. This is where corpocracy starts to show itself. That's why I said McMission creep. I bodyguarded people since, I think Steve Martin. I'll find his picture in a second and I'll post it. There may be some other pictures that we'll post, but it'll be Steve Soon. That was my first bodyguard mission. And it was for a USO thing that he did. He was a very good guy. He just is, he's what you see on TV. Or in the movies, whatever you want to call it. And that was when we were in a safe place and he signed a little thing. I have that picture and all that stuff framed. So this actually is kind of a thing that people can carry, and I have funny stories about that, but I'm not getting into it now. But I was a military policeman. We also gave him a military police armband from 1st FSSG because he needed to be protected, assisted, and defended. I've protected, I'll give you the name. I don't really even care. A former Muslim girl from my state who decided she wanted to become Christian. She had a fatwa on her ass. She wanted to speak in Columbus, Ohio at the Baptist Convention. This is a couple years back. Rifka Berry was her name. You can look it up. Think I'm full of shit? Look it up. And all I did was consult for her. But this person that wanted to go to what was called Unite the Right deserves some protection. He actually is the only person that could say, and he said it on his podcast, he got a tingle down his neck. But guess what? He didn't get sprayed in the face. The only person who participated that didn't get that treatment. Kind of funny, isn't it? It's called, you actually look at the threat and you make the evaluation. There's been other people that self-aggrandize themselves that didn't get that treatment, that didn't have professionals. The person I was with was a professional, as well as I. So I give nothing but flowers and love. What I'll say is the thorn is my failure. Notice I'm not deflecting and blaming others. My failure to remember the punk Terry McAuliffe was governor. And he is a punk bitch. He allowed that to happen. Heather Heyer had a heart attack. Everybody got all up in arms. Some car hit her. No, that didn't happen. She was overweight and had a heart attack. I've told everybody I know what exactly happened because I saw it on TV. She was nowhere near it. Her obese ass, you would have seen her. It would have been like a heffalump, buffalo, whatever you want to call it. You would have seen her getting hit. She didn't get hit. She had a heart attack off to the side. Too much stress. That's what happens. Sad. Feel bad for her family. But she put herself in that situation. She could have stayed home. You know. But she didn't. I could have stayed home. But I didn't. And I only went there just to watch. To see what would happen. Because I thought much fuckery and jackassery would be afoot. And it was. I saw Homeland. This is where Trump is wise. He probably saw the same stuff. And I'll guarantee you, they had facial rec, they had Dukes, Mavericks, everything going. To screw everybody's communications. There's probably even the backpack little communication Dukes happening. But nobody saw them. I didn't see them, being honest. But I did see the spotters they had at Montgomery, McGinty, whatever the fuck name that park was, where everybody... I saw the spotters there. If it was my gig and I was running it, I would have called it on the spot. And if the principals wanted to be reticent, I would have told them, fuck off. We're done with it. But guess what? I didn't have that kind of authority. Even for my principal, I deferred. So it happened. But nothing happened in that park that was not done by the state. Small s. I would love to say it wasn't capital S, but Homeland was there. I would love to have been a fly in the wall when my facial rec came up and they're like, what the fuck is he doing here? Okay? That's kind of the fun shit that I get to deal with. What you guys don't realize, I will have a few guests on in the next couple days, and we're going to go through stuff that we've done together. And we'll talk about shit because none of us care. We're all just too old. Well, one of them's not. He's a good dude, but he's closer to you millennials. But he's in the game just like I am. And I'll have my mentor on. My second mentor. My first one can't come on because he doesn't do computers at all. He's just too old. 70 something. But my second one, he's not that old. And he's a good dude. So what I'm telling you is you have to understand, on August 12th, that was a failure by design. Anybody who says it's not is full of shit. Guaranteed it was a failure by design. I'll bodyguard anybody. I'll go to Azerbaijan to pick apples. If somebody said, do you want to do it? I will travel. I want to see things. It's just what I do. I Forrest Gump around. But I also understand it from a legal point of view and a military point of view every time I look at anything. Guess why? Because I kind of know what the fuck I'm doing. I can't even go back to Germany because last time I was there, we had a great meeting, a great meetup. But the funny thing is, when I was in Berlin, we figured everything out. Now's the time to try to figure out how to put lightning back in a bottle. That is something nobody ever wants to talk about. Now, McMission creep and the politicization of law enforcement. Going right to it. With that back history, I understand how this happens because I've worked in failed states. I've also worked in healthy states that we destabilize and then we restabilize. Iraq, Afghanistan. It's what happens. Now, if you think I'm talking to you out my ass, do you really want to see soldiers on Maple Street? Do you really want to see a hometown dirty war? Do you know what that means? Do you know about retribution killings? Do you know about how people will really react for bullshit? Look, since I've the most freeing thing, like I said, is being an unprivileged belligerent. I've said that. But it also means when I put my Kevlar, as one of my favorite people used to call it, instead of Kevlar, it would be a Cavalier helmet on. when I'd put that Kevlar or Cavalier helmet on, my great helm, during this time, it became a very jaded helm. And when I say this, I mean this in a real way. I had been jaded because I'll tell you what I saw, and I've been open with it in court. I've seen me and other people try to get prosecuted for other people's fuck ups. But thank God there was photographic footage. And then when you go in front of the people you have to go in front of, and you have that kind of source material, and they get their little experts together, and they say, well, that grid coordinate was correct. Guess what? You're not going to go to prison. But that's what they were pushing. These people don't understand. Some of us don't give a fuck. But it does jade us. And the other thing that I'll tell you, and this will blow a lot of the normies away, and I'm going to tell you exactly why. I saw in 2009, we got Ugandans that were going to do security for the company I worked. It was an American security company, to be sure. And just letting you know what's happening. And we had an agreement under Obama's Aid for Africa program. Remember that? You guys remember that? Probably not. Some of you guys might not remember that. But that Aid for Africa program paid the dictator at that time $2,000 a head, like cattle. And guess what they got paid? $600 a month, which is a year's salary for them, but it's still shit money for what they were doing. I still trained them, made those TCNs. TCN means third country national. Feel like they had a brother. And meant it. Because they were decent folks for the most part. One guy killed a brother of mine and then blew his own brains out, but for the most part they were decent dudes and girls. I saw a dude prostituting the girls. Yeah, that was an American dude doing that shit. I accidentally opened up the wrong drawer, putting in training records, talking to my project manager, and all of a sudden I see all these passports. Well, guess what that means? Human trafficking. Guess who I went to? I went to everybody from AFOSI. I went to CID for the Army, and I even went to DCIS. And finally, when I went to DCIS, the IG for Defense Department, the guy was honest with me. He's like, look, it's Obama's Aid for Africa program. There's nothing we can really do. So Obama human trafficked, which means slavery. You people that don't understand shit need to understand. And guess what? This nigger behind the trigger understood one thing. I'm the lowest man on the totem pole. I'll be the one to get fucked if this happens. And as soon as I had knowledge, and as soon as I realized nobody was going to do anything, I left. I left that day. Next day, I said window seat. Aisle seat. I'm sorry, not window. So I could take a piss when I needed to. And I left that country. So, all you guys that want to pontificate and tell me I'm a reject, my forebears had slaves, you're all fucking stupid. And I can say that honestly. Because you had a black man dealing in the skin trade. At least I'm honest. I deal in the skin trade on a molecular level with projectiles going down range. And they have an opportunity to put me in the ground too. Plenty of people have tried. I'm still alive. Guess what? I'm still alive. But I've never trafficked anybody. Obama, yeah, he said, I'm pretty good at killing people. Guess what? He never killed nobody. And guess what he also did? He trafficked people. So get off your high horse. Get down to the real. Look at everything with an open mind and an open thought process. With everything. See where the fuckery is at foot. And when you do, you might actually learn something. Put your biases away. Listen to reality. From somebody who's lived reality since he's been 17. You know what? Like I told everybody that day, I bought the ticket, took the ride. That means I had complete buy-in to watch. If you can't do that, then you're a failure. You failed. Nobody else did. You did. And honestly, from Kaisers Kastle being rebroadcasted at the county seat where I live in, off the church tower, you just heard the truth. Deal with it. Shove out.